Despite Africa being home to some 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 8% of the world's natural gas and 12% of the world's oil reserves, Africa enjoys only a fraction of this value. One company that is changing this narrative through beneficiation is Nyanza Light Metals, which has recently received a capital injection of $5 million from Africa Finance Corporation and Afreximbank, and hopes to become a significant player in the global billion-dollar industry when at full capacity. Joining us now in studio is Donovan Chimhandamba, and he's the CEO of Nyanza Light Metals. Donovan, very good evening. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Why titanium dioxide?
Thanks, Igor. It's great to be here. I think the story with titanium dioxide is exactly the same with any other minerals we have in Africa. So what you find is that we probably have about 22% of the world's reserves, and Africa as a continent has about 45% of the world's reserves, and we extract and export that either as mineral ores or as primary beneficiated materials. So where we are playing now, we're saying, look, Africa has to move up the value chain and start looking at doing some value addition. So Nyanza Light Metals, specifically what we're looking at is to take the titanium dioxide mineral ores or the slags and put them through a chemical manufacturing process and make the highly sought after and high value titanium dioxide pigment. Now just for people to understand what titanium dioxide pigment is, I think the best way to explain is how it's used. So it's what is used to make paints. So if you look at your architectural paints for or what they call decorative paints for your houses, interior or exterior. If you look at automotive paints, if you look into plastics, it's also used into making industrial coatings used in manufacturing of plastics. We also go as far as FMCG in terms of applications. So if you look at makeups, if you look at milk, to whiten milk, you'll find titanium dioxide pigment in there. So it's a big industry that probably just lies behind most applications or most uses that we enjoy every day.
So how big is the global titanium dioxide market, and what will your contribution be when you're operating at optimum?
So when you look at the titanium global industry, it's just over $20 billion in terms of traded revenue. The demand and supply balance sits at about just over 7 million tons estimated this year per year of titanium dioxide pigment. What's actually telling or exciting for us is that the 7 million tons is largely manufactured outside Africa, and yet all the minerals or most of the minerals that go into making that come from Africa. So Africa itself, we export ilmenite at $200, $300 a ton, and then we import back titanium pigment at $4,000 a ton. So we're trying to position ourselves to say it's time that Africa starts bringing these jobs locally, and we promote or stimulate local supply chains and promote intra-Africa trade. So that's.
Sorry, Donovan, just give us that number again. How much are we making when we export it, and what is the cost of importing the beneficiated product?
Yeah, so you get ilmenites. They range from $300 to $400 a ton. I think we've seen the prices go up over the last few months, also because of the tightening supplies because of Ukraine and Russia war. If it's put through a smelter, like what Rio Tinto does and Tronox does, they make what is called titanium slag, which is anything around $1,000 plus per ton. And we export that, and then we import the titanium dioxide pigment at anything above $3,500. I've seen prices above $4,500 a ton. So if you look at that gap alone, I mean, that's quite huge, and it's quite a huge incentive for us to say, why are we not doing this? Why are these jobs elsewhere? And why are we, not capitalizing on or developing these supply chains locally and export higher value goods?
And let's talk about AFC and Afreximbank. We know that you've gotten into some partnership. Yeah. Walk us through that relationship.
So this is quite, I think this is what Africa needs. And the biggest challenge that you find in Africa is that there's a lot of capital that wants to build greenfields projects. But there's a lack of capital that's available to actually take projects from through feasibility study and prepare it for construction and operation. So what Afreximbank and AFC have done is they've come in and they've also co-funded alongside ourselves, alongside the support that we've been getting from the DTI itself and the Richards Bay IDZ in terms of developing and preparing the project to a point where it's bankable. So we're almost there. In fact, what we've done is we've divided or phased the construction into two parts. The first one was to build what we call a product testing and development center. And the strategy behind or the objective behind that was to enable us to actually produce some of the product that we'll make ahead of commercial production and give customers enough material to actually formulate their paints and test in service.
Now, you operate from the Richards Bay Industrial Development Zone. Just tell us, how important are these industrial economic zones to your business and similar businesses?
I think special economic zones are a stimulant to some of these kind of activities. What people like us who are looking to build these industrial complexes, we need access to a world-class infrastructure. So you need rail, you need roads, you need to be at the port. About 80–85% of our products are for export. Also, when you look at the special economic zones, the way South African government has done it, which was quite instrumental in us deciding to be there, is that they provide incentives that come with the zone. So your income tax, instead of being the normal 28%, it's down to 15%. You've got certain special incentives that you're awarded by being in the zone, and you're already in a customs clearance area. So there are a couple of inefficiencies that you take out by just being in the zone as opposed to be outside the special economic zone. But also you are able to attract FDI into the zone. So Afreximbank and AFC have come on board because they like special economic zones. They've invested in other special economic zones. And while we're talking about the $5 million to complete the preparation of the project, we're looking to start construction end of Q1 next year. And in total, what we're looking at is building a $550 million or 8 billion rand industrial complex.
It's obviously going to be a massive project. But before we let you go, Donovan, very quickly, we've obviously talked about the profits that you're likely to make. But talk to us about job creation in the Richards Bay community.
Yeah, so we've already, through the phase 1 construction, I think we had more than 200 jobs that we created through that period. Now we're commissioning the product testing and development center, which is a mimic of the full manufacturing complex, and we anticipating to have just over 100 permanent there. And once we start constructing the main plant, we're looking at over 2,000 jobs during construction and probably 1,200 once we're in full manufacturing state. Now, it's just not about jobs as well. We're very alive to the fact that there's been a lot of job losses over the last few years in the Richards Bay and in general in South Africa. And by Nyanza coming into the IDZ of Richards Bay, there's something what we call ecosystem investing. So once Nyanza is there, it is allowing or stimulating other industries and supply chains around it. And by that, we are deliberately making sure the communities are actually finding a place in that. Now, it's a lot of work to do, but we're very clear in terms of what we want to do around that.
Donovan Chimhandamba, I appreciate your time on Africa Today. Donovan is the CEO of Nyanza Light Metals. Thank you for your time.